Hello everybody, it is Storm Ranger. Today, I'm back to you with a brand new Fortnite video. Today's Fortnite video is on how you can use rotations to win every single game that you play in Fortnite. If you use my advice, in theory, you could win every single game that you could play. If you find yourself constantly losing games of Fortnite, rotations may be why. I have so many friends who never come even close towards the top 10 simply because they do not understand how rotations work. And because of that, in this video, I'll be going over how rotations work and how you can use them to avoid the enemy players and use that to easily get into the final circle every single game. And then I'll be going over what you can do in the final circle to make sure that you will win. Before I can go over that, I gotta ask you all to go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. If you could do that, that would really help me out a ton. Just push the button in the bottom right hand corner of the video. If you could do that, that would really mean a lot to me, and that would really help me out a ton. Also, if you go ahead and please use my supported creator code in the item shop, it is Storm Rangers. That would be fantastic, and that would really help me out a ton. You have no idea how much it helps, and using my code would really help me out so much. Here's a shout out to a few of you guys who use my supported creator code. Thank you so much to everybody who is using my code. Finally, for this video, could we hit 200 likes? Could we have a like goal of 200 likes? If you could hit that like goal, that would be awesome, and that would be fantastic, and I'm sure that you can hit that like goal. Anyways, with that being said, let's get right into the video. So first of all, you may be wondering, what are rotations? Well, rotations are how people rotate into the storm circle. In other words, they are where people head on the map. I know that sounds very confusing, so I'll just give you an example. So let's say that the bus is going from Lazy Lagoon over to Fatal Fields. You're going to see a lot of people towards the jungle area of the map because the bus flew directly over it, and less people towards Fatal Fields because it was towards the end of the bus. You're going to see very little people towards the edge of the map in places such as Paradise Palms or Junk Junction because the bus did not head anywhere near to those two locations. Now let's say that there's a storm circle where the south part of the map is safe. Since the bus went directly over Lazy Lagoon, a lot of people are in the jungle area, and they are going to be somewhere that is not safe in the storm. So we'll have no choice but to rotate in. They're going to rotate into places like Retail Row or Salty Springs, towards the northeast section of the storm circle. That is what rotations are. They are where people will rotate into when going into the storm. And you can use this to see where people are. For example, you will know that the far south side of the map will be very safe because it's towards the edge of the map and people are mostly rotating in towards the north side of the map. Now let's say that storm closes again, and once again, Fatal Fields is in the storm. And once again, the middle south side of the storm is safe, and everything else is not safe. A lot of people once again are going to be rotating in towards the north circle because of where the bus was and the way people rotated in from the previous circle. So if you are on the far south or southwest part of that circle, you should be relatively safe. Now you can keep on doing this towards the very end of the game. You can use this to be on the opposite side of people. So as you can see, if you understand rotations, you will know exactly where people are in the storm and exactly where people aren't in the storm. When I first heard about Fortnite, I made it my personal goal to get very good at Fortnite. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos by streamers such as CypherPK who made videos on this. So I was able to learn how rotations work by watching his stream. This gave me a huge advantage against my friends who did not understand how rotations worked. Because my friends who didn't understand how rotations work would find themselves in the most busy part of the map being sandwiched by more than one person. This would make it almost impossible for them to win the game because they weren't good enough to take on more than one person at a time. So as you can see, it's very important that you understand how to use rotations. So the reason why I clicked on this video is to learn how to win a game. You didn't want to learn how to get kills. Now, if you wanted to learn how to get kills, things might be a little bit different. You would want to head towards the most busy part of the storm because that's where the most people are. However, since you want to win, you should go to where the least people are. Fortnite is a Battle Royale game. And because of that, the goal of Fortnite is to survive, not to get kills. And you survive by getting into as little fights as possible, because every time you enter a fight, you risk dying and being sent back to the lobby. So because of that, you want to get into as little fights as possible. So in order to make sure you don't get into as little fights as possible, you want to go to the side of the storm the least people are at. So let's talk about the rotation of the storm circle that I was talking about before, where the south part of the map was in the safe circle. By being as far south as possible, you would be the safest, because most people landed on the north side of the map and are rotating in towards the north side of the circle. Because of this, very few people will be towards the south side of the circle, and you would want to stick around at the south side of the circle. However, rotations are never a guarantee. You never know exactly where people are on the map. You can only assume based off of evidence. And because of that, you should make sure to go ahead and hide. So if you're out in the open, people will be able to see you from hundreds of meters away in any direction. And that is bad because you want to avoid as many fights as you can. So to make sure that people won't find you, look for a place where you can hide. Look for a cave or a shed or a house, and then camp somewhere where you think that nobody will look. For example, you may want to hide under the stairs of a house or in the attic of a house. So even if someone does come into that house, they probably will not be able to find you. And yes, this does include hiding in bushes. You can still hide in bushes, and they are still a very good way to hide in plain sight. So while hiding is important, you do want to make sure that you have good loot. If you want to win that game, you need to be maxed out on shields. If you're not maxed out on shields, you can be taken down in one shot with pretty much any pump shotgun. So in order to get loot, I recommend landing somewhere safe in the early game and looting as fast as you can in the early game. Take the time to land somewhere a few times in order to get to know that place well and know all the different locations of all the different chests and loot spawns. Back before Season 7, when the factories on the south side of the map were still there, I memorized every single chest location spawn and was able to loot those factories within around 2 minutes. Within only 2 minutes of time, I was able to get an insane loadout. You can easily get enough loot for the endgame in the first few minutes of the game, so then after that, all you need to do is hide, and you don't need to worry about being taken out while looting. Just remember to harvest for materials. Harvesting for materials has become a lot easier in version 7.40. However, you want to try your best to get max wood, brick, and iron, because those who actually played the game and tried to kill people will likely have max wood, brick, and iron. Another interesting thing when it comes to looting are supply drops. Now, supply drops have a 50% chance of dropping a golden rocket launcher. In other words, 1 out of every 2 drops will have a rocket launcher. And rocket launchers are perhaps the most overpowered weapons in the game. They require little to no skill, and they are very powerful and very difficult to counter. So if you're able to loot for a supply drop, you definitely want to go to loot a supply drop to get an rocket launcher. You'll have a huge advantage. Just note that looting supply drop is very risky and kind of unpredictable because in Season 8 you can now see where supply drops are on the map, so a lot of people may be heading for supply drops. So once you have good loot and you're at the end of the game, you're going to be one of the final few people in the game. Now you want to make sure to keep on hiding for as long as you can. However, the time will eventually come where you will need to build up and begin to fight people. When there are only a few people left, and where the storm has gotten to the point where it is moving to places that were previously unsafe, you want to make sure that you're able to go into the safe part of the circle and then build up. That will cause for everybody else who is left in the match to push towards you. Just remember, you still want to stay hidden against enemies, so only do this when there are only a few people left, preferably 1, and you're ready to fight. When you're building up, make sure to build a 1x1 that is 3 stories high, because that is the tallest you can build a 1x1 without taking fall damage if you are shot down. Now, if you are in a 1x1 and your enemies are running to you, trying to get away from the storm, you have a huge advantage because you have high ground and the enemies have no choice but to run towards you. At this part of the game, you're probably very nervous. I highly recommend just taking a few deep breaths and trying to not be nervous. When you're nervous, your adrenaline starts pumping and your body gets ready for a fight, because your body doesn't understand that you're playing a video game and that there is no real threat. Now when you're nervous, you end up making a lot of mistakes, because your body is worried about fighting and not doing a task such as a video game. So because of this, try not to get nervous, try to take a few deep breaths and remind yourself that it's just a video game. So at this point, the part where you actually have to fight someone has come into place. Now, you might not be able to win that fight against that person. They may be a better player than you. However, that's okay. There are several things you can do to take out a player who is better than you. Probably the best thing you can do is third party someone. If you see 2 people in a build fight who are building up to max height limit, simply shoot them down. If they don't have ladder deploy, they are going to die and you are going to win the game. Of course, while they may not be at height limit, you can still third party them. Try and steal the enemy's kills so they don't get health for killing that person, and then kill the enemy. If you play your cards right, you'll be able to take on an enemy who is at half or a quarter of your health, and you're going to have a major advantage in the fight. Another thing that is very important to do is to abuse the storm circle. Make sure that you are in the storm circle and that someone has to push up towards you. Then build so you have high ground. Since that person has to run towards you and you have high ground, you will have a major advantage in the situation. Especially if you have an RPG, you can simply shoot down an RPG on that person and get a solid 110 damage on that person. And this leads me into my next point, to use weapons that require little to no skill, such as the RPG. In my opinion, the RPG is the most overpowered weapon in the game, so make sure to use that weapon. Even if they're 100 times better than you, they could easily make a simple mistake when building and then get hit by your RPG. RPGs aren't the only weapon you could use any explosive or also the minigun. Of course, the minigun did get significantly nerfed, however, you can still use it a little bit. At this point, if you followed my advice, you would have won that game of Fortnite Battle Royale. Using the advice I went over in this video, theoretically, you could win every single game that you play. Of course, while Fortnite games are unpredictable, you can still theoretically win every match, and you would do that by using my advice that I went over in this video. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. I really hope that this video was helpful. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to go ahead and subscribe. You can push that button in the bottom right corner of this video. That would really help me out a ton, and that would really mean the world to me. Also, if you want to support the channel one step further, go ahead and use my supported creator code in the Fortnite item shop. Remember, it is Storm Rangers. If you could use that code, that would be awesome, and that would really help the channel out a ton. Seriously, you have no idea how much that helps me out. And if you could do that, that would just mean the world to me. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this video. That has been how to win every single game of Fortnite in Season 8, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye!